It's the first day of a long weekend here, and we're kicking it off in Cousins Gymnasium the only way we know how. It's the NESCAC men's basketball quarterfinals here in Medford, Massachusetts, as the residing Tufts Jumbos welcome the Middlebury Panthers 3 hours down to 89. My name is Ethan Ito. I'm joined here by Jake Flossie and Molly Sullivan, as we'll get you all acquainted for this afternoon's playoff matchup. This isn't the first time that these two teams have matched up this season, with the Jumbos prevailing 82-60 here in Cousins. Molly, give us some insight into some patterns that we may see rise again this afternoon.
Yeah, a great game during regular season last time here. Maracas with 24 points there. He had a great game. Osher with 19. It was really a battle of two stars. Some important points here are takeaways. GMSC with a double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds, an important key for Tufts that game. Osher with 19, as I said, Colina with 12. Brennan with only 8 rebounds, I believe 9 points. Not his best game on offense. We'll see if he can show up today. John Medley with 12 points, lighting up in that game. Important other factors, points in the paint. Both teams scored over 20 points in the paint that game. But Tufts going to score 60, and Middlebury just scoring 20. And then on the other side of that, bench points. Tufts scoring 24 points off the bench, Middlebury scoring 25, so their subs really going at it that game. We're looking forward to seeing what their benches can do today.
And you mentioned it early, Molly. There's no doubt that Noah Osher is the man to look out for in the navy and white this afternoon, and he's a more than capable scorer. He's averaging 17.2 points a game. Jake, show us some of the ways that he creates for this Panther offense.
Yeah, we just saw there he got the opportunity with the ball on the side, able to find a good jumper over Maracas, but sometimes he can do a little bit too much. Here we see him take a drive that he probably shouldn't be taking, missing a basket, and he was a focal point of their offense, but that meant that sometimes he made a little bit too much, tried to do too much for the team. Here we see him making a better decision. He's got the ball, he's stuck, he finds Qualina in the middle, getting a basket. So that's something we'll be looking for more of him today in the game. And we're going to show here, he was outstanding last week or a couple weeks ago against the Jumbos, but the rest of the starters really did not pull their own weight. Osher put up 19, the rest of the starters 16. And that's something that he's going to need help. He's going to need support if they want to really take it to the Jumbos and do better than they did last time. So we're looking at Tristan Joseph, who averaged 11 points per game. He only put up 1 against the Jumbos. So that's not a stat that the Panthers fans will want to see, and they'll be really hoping for their other players to get going in this game.
Yeah, and now Osher, the star guard for the Panthers, but if we look on the other side of the floor, we'll see James Maracas scoring a career-high 24 last time out against the Panthers. How might he look to recreate that scoring total again?
Yeah, and Maracas not always the go-to guy for Jumbos, but this game he was. There we see him on a backdoor cut, cutting to the basket. A nice little layup there. As you said, season high for him last game against Middlebury, 24 points. Here, Tufts running a bit of an offense, gets a bit stuck, and Maracas does come to find the ball. A little bit of a fumble here. He gets it inside to Stewart, and an immediate backdoor cut off of their basket. Easy bucket for him. This is one of my favorite plays from that game. Tufts swinging the ball around the outside and finding Maracas. Maracas just a little drive in, sees Giumessi up for the up and under layup. Maracas had a really great game last game. But an important point is he has not scored double digits since this game, so we need to see if he can lay up like he did today with that layup and with other passes and layups that he made that game.
And now such a slithery offensive guard. He kind of finds all those seams within the defense, and it'd be great if he could find those today. But I think that's enough about offense. If you want to win a NESCAC championship, you have to be on top of it on the other side of the floor. Now, what are some of the strategies, Jake, that the Panthers are going to employ to try and slow the Tufts men down?
So they love to run this little trap on the pick and roll, and it has not been too successful against Jumbos. We just see there, they try to trap Turley. He finds Bernstein with space on Cisse, a matchup that the Panthers will want to avoid in this matchup. Here they do the same trap. Turley kicks it to Bernstein, who finds Maracas for an open 3. So this will be this is a weakness we can see that the Jumbos exploited last time out. This time that the Panthers will want that trap to be a little bit more effective, really contain Turley or Maracas, whoever they're trapping there, off the pick and roll, and don't let them find the easy pass to Bernstein or whoever is in the middle there.
And now that'll be a key point of this game, looking at how the team defense of the Panthers and how the Jumbos are going to try and work around that with the pick and roll. And at the end of the day, it is a team game, and you want to take a look at this sequence from the last matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, and Middlebury, not playing their best game, having some trouble getting inside, but here Murray just playing creative offense, moving off the ball. As I said before, Mid only scored 40% of their points in the paint, so a layup like this one, Murray puts it in, was rare for them, but a good offensive sequence there where they're all moving off the ball and they get the ball in their hands, drive, and 2 points there.
And now, if it feels like we've been here before, not just within the start of this second semester, but within the past year, you're right. These two teams do have a history some history with each other beyond this season. Around a year ago, we were right here in Cousins, as we watched the Jumbos prevail in a NESCAC quarterfinals matchup against the Panthers.
Yeah, so that was a crazy matchup last season. Double overtime. The Jumbos pulling it out of the end off of 30 points from Dylan Thorner, who is not around anymore. He is playing D1 basketball now, but that was a crazy matchup. And an interesting parallel to last season as well is last season Middlebury won by 16 points during the regular season, got a big win like the Jumbos did this regular season, and then they went to the playoffs, played at home like the Jumbos are doing right now, and then lost a tight matchup. So those who are thinking, the Jumbos won by 22 earlier this season, this should be a walk in the park for them, it definitely will not be. You never know what's going to happen in NESCAC playoffs, as we can see by what happened last year.
Yeah, and as you see here, double overtime game, Tufts and Mid tying 6-6 in the first overtime period, Tufts exploding for 18 points in the second period of overtime. That is much thanks to Dylan Thorner, but GMSC coming up with some huge rebounds in that overtime period. So looking forward to him trying to recreate that game today, and looking forward to seeing what Tufts can do without Dylan Thorner this game.
And speaking of explosions in overtime, we know the Jumbos are capable in overtime. We saw last week against Wesleyan, they went to overtime in a really tight game, and then overtime they pulled away and were able to really take control of that game. So if this game does go to overtime, which is a possibility, we know that the Jumbos can do well in that setting.
And that's some of the fun about being in a playoff setting is you kind of got a clean slate, right? You wipe the regular season clean. You forget about everything that's gone on all season long. You just have to win this afternoon. And I believe that is all the time that we have for now. We're looking forward to a great matchup here on Ty Court. Andrew Howe, Jared Cohen, and Riley Daniel will be joining you guys after we take a short break here on JumboCast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cousins Gymnasium on the campus of Tufts University here in Medford, Massachusetts for coverage of the NESCAC quarterfinals presented to you by JumboCast. Tonight, we have a matchup between the Tufts Jumbos and the Middlebury Panthers in a rematch of last year's NESCAC quarterfinal matchup, although this time on different territory. The Jumbos being the hosts this time after last year's thrilling double overtime win to send them into that semifinals, and hopefully for them things will stay the same, and for Middlebury they're hoping for things to look a little bit different from the last time these two teams faced off. Welcome everybody, my name is Andrew Howe. I'm joined alongside Jared Cohn and Riley Daniel for a very exciting game. Jared, this is going to be a pretty big one. I mean, playoff implications are at stake. NESCAC and NCAA tournament bids also on the line here for both of these teams here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here we are. It's the NESCAC tournament. The season went by faster than I think any of us could have expected, and both teams here maybe not in the spot they wanted to be. Both struggled a little bit in the NESCAC with varying success outside, but here we are. This is what it comes down to. Win and move on, lose and you're out. And for a team like Tufts, winning this game, not just a step towards the NESCAC title, but potentially a spot towards hosting an NCAA game or a higher seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, this is basically for the equivalent of playoff season. It's March in basketball terms. There's no such thing as a guaranteed tomorrow. You have to go out and earn everything from now on, and it starts right here, right now.
Well, let's take a look at how these two teams match up over the course of the 23-24 regular season. Jared, same NESCAC record, although very different in terms of how they've played in their non-conference games, which has been the big story between these two squads so far.
Yeah, so looking at the tail of the tape, I think what jumps out is that on paper, the Jumbos might have the advantage. They have been kind of an enigma so far this year. Started off the season really strong, 10-0 before struggling a little bit, but ending their season on a higher note. 5 out of their last 7 wins in the NESCAC. Middlebury, meanwhile, has kind of skidded along, kind of stuck in the middle of the whole season. You look at their margin of victory, I mean, that's really the biggest difference here. The Jumbos winning their games, average of 9.5 points. Middlebury stuck in the negative, so on an average game, they're losing, and that makes sense. They are under 500 on the year. But two very different attacks on offense. Jumbos, a higher scoring team, higher percent from the floor, more rebounds, they pass better. Maybe a more well-rounded offensive team, but not as strong from behind the three-point line. They aren't a strong three-point shooting team, maybe the worst three-point shooting team in the NESCAC. Middlebury, marginal advantage on that front, but it's going to be a physical game, and if Tufts can dominate on the inside, I think it could go in their favor.
Yeah, and I think you have to think these two teams were even more different in terms of statistics, but as NESCAC play has gone on, the stats have started to level out, and a lot of that has been a function of the Jumbos really struggling a little bit in NESCAC play. As we take a look here at some of the problems they've faced, you look, I mean, the first thing that jumps out at you, it's the point margin. 12.6 points per game in non-conference play, only 5 in conference play. But they're scoring 7 points a game less. So that means they're putting up the same defensive performance in the NESCAC and outside the NESCAC. The problem has been the shooting. It's a 3% difference in NESCAC play. Probably a lot of that has to do with just better NESCAC defenses, but when you shoot worse, as we've seen them do, they did not shoot well the first time these two teams played. When you shoot worse, it makes things more difficult, especially for a team that's lost a lot of close games.
And the interesting thing, Jared, is that when you watch the Jumbos play in the NESCAC over the course of this season, they're not looking terrible in their offensive outlooks. You actually see less turnovers per game over the last few games of the season. The problem has just been finishing those shots, and you got to hope eventually some of those misses turn into makes as we get towards playoffs.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's been a matter of consistency, and sometimes it's just been unanswerable. As you said, they have not been bad in these NESCAC games. They've lost a lot of close games, and I think we've seen some positive signs on that front. Yes, they were blown out by a very, very good Trinity team last week, but before that, they had been looking really good. Someone like Josh Bernstein, one of the tallest players in NESCAC, at times it's been like, can he finish these shots in the paint at the level of someone who his height should be? And he recently 100% has been doing that. 2 of his highest scoring games have come in the last 2 games of the season, and against the Middlebury team that doesn't have a lot of size, that physical, just making the shots that the opponent gives you type offense could go a really, really long way.
The front court for the Jumbos is definitely going to be important as we can head into our key matchup here for this game, Riley. We have some other really important players like James Marakis and Noah Osher that were discussed in our pregame show, but in terms of the backcourt, or the front court I should say, Scott Jamesi, David Brennan, 2 of the best rebounders in the conference, are going to have big games for each of their teams tonight.
Yeah, I think this game, the first time these two teams played, the game was decided on the boards. I have a feeling it'll be decided there again today. And if it is, you'd put good money on these two being heavily involved. Number 1 and number 3, respectively, in the NESCAC on the boards. They are really dominant, especially both of them are in the top 5 as well in offensive rebounds. So look for them to get involved on the glass, both offensively and defensively for their teams.
Yeah, both guys just top of the game in rebounding. Not the tallest guys on the floor. Jamesi about 6'6", Brennan about 6'8", but they work, and they work hard. We've seen that game in and game out. Jamesi 16 double-doubles towards the top of the entire country. Both of them over 10 rebounds a game, so I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be a physical game. It's going to come down to the matchup in the paint on the boards, and the team that can come out on top of that has a good chance at winning this game.
A lot of history between these two teams. The Jumbos have won the last 2 matchups that Middlebury and Tufts have faced off against each other, including that NESCAC quarterfinal victory, and we'll see if that's the same case today here at Cousins. We're going to throw it to our PA announcer for the national anthem, and we'll be right back after that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to historic Cousins Gymnasium on the campus of Please rise if able, remove your caps, and face the flag for the playing of the national anthem.
As we come back to you live from Cousins, Jumbo's coming in at 18-6, Middlebury at 11-13, but again, both teams tied in terms of NESCAC performance, 5-5 and even 500 to result them right in the middle of the pack as our 4 versus 5 seed matchup in the NESCAC playoffs. Winner plays Williams, I believe, next week in our semifinal matchup, as we can take a look at our starting lineup, starting with those Middlebury Panthers. We're going to have, of course, a lot of big game changers for them, most specifically Noah Osher in the guard position, as well as Tristan Joseph, Evan Flax, David Brennan, and Lamine Cisse.
Yeah, Cisse's an interesting one. Started that first game between these two teams, only then got 2 minutes, got pulled 2 minutes into the game, did not see the floor the rest of the way. We'll see if he can figure out what he couldn't figure out the first time these two teams squared off here in Cousins.
Taking a look at Osher specifically, lead scorer here for Middlebury, one of the best players for them, but has struggled against the Jumbos. 4 for 16 from the field last time they played in that NESCAC quarterfinal matchup. And on the other side, it's the same Tufts Jumbos lineup that they've been rolling out time and time again this season, Jared. We have, of course, Scott Jamesi in the front court alongside Josh Bernstein, and in the guard positions, James Marakis, Jada Turley, and Casey McLaren.
And I think can't help but notice how different this starting lineup is from the starting lineup Middlebury saw last season in the NCAA tournament. That was a team that rolled out Truman Gettings and Bobby Stewart as the 2 bigs in the starting lineup. Both guys still on the roster, still likely to see playing time, but off the bench, Bernstein now that 5. And, you know, just a different team. We had Tyler Aronson, Carson Coe, and Dylan Thurner all played in that game. All 3 graduated. And I think what you saw from guys like that was a lot of one-on-one mid-range jump shots, isolation ball, and they kind of devolved a little bit. You know, very solid roster, but wasn't always consistent with their offensive attack. This team could not be more different with a guy like Jamesi, the really focal point of the offense, bully ball in the paint, Bernstein rebounder, and then a big guard like Maracas, just kind of a different build than a guy like Aronson was last year.
And it's these starters specifically, Riley, that were playing very well during Tufts' super hot streak in non-conference play. You know, Jamesi was averaging about 15 points a game. Bernstein was picking up double-doubles left and right. Maracas erupted as a star player for this team. And they really need to get things going again as we enter the playoff season. NESCACs, and hopefully for both of these teams, NCAAs, both of them getting eliminated in the round of 32 last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this Jumbos team necessarily has a star like they might have in years past, but these star-esque players, Maracas, Bernstein, Jamesi, they're the ones that are going to have to play at their peak if the Jumbos want to achieve their goals going forward.
Maracas particularly, he had 24 against Middlebury. That was a season high, highest by any Tufts player so far this season. But since that Middlebury game, again, seeing Middlebury tonight, he has been ice cold.
20 minutes on the clock as we kick off the NESCAC quarterfinals with Bernstein and the Jumbos controlling the tip. Deturley, a lot of ball handling duties for this starting lineup. Gets it to Bernstein on that left wing. Deturley, give and go. Bernstein puts it to the floor. Reverse lane is good. They're going to call it off. A traveling violation will send it the other way.
Yeah, that's not something we're unaccustomed to seeing. Bernstein had a bunch of turnovers the first time these two teams played. Seems to struggle a little bit inside against David Brennan.
Yeah, maybe shuffled his feet at the end a little bit, but not surprising that that's where the Jumbos looked on their first possession.
Bernstein, such a strong force down low, especially considering the tallest player on the court right now for Middlebury, 6'6", David Brennan. There's Brennan. Bernstein has the assignment. Osher gets doubled and stripped by Bernstein, and it's going the other way. Deturley, catch and shoot three, or Raymond's out. And quiet so far in the first three possessions. Joseph over to Flax. Flax leading the team in assists this season. Joseph picking up a double. Gonna have to kick it out. 15 to shoot. Osher right back over to Joseph. Corner three from the left side. No good, and Jamesi collects the board. Osher tried to get ahead of that one. Maracas able to send it back into the backcourt, and will reset for the Jumbos with 17 to shoot.
Yeah, that was just a lazy pass there.
Deturley post up, guarded there by Flax. Turnaround jumper, off the glass, no good. And Flax, the shortest member on the court, brings it up in the fast break. Cisse drives in, guarded by Jamesi, breezes past him for the first basket of the game. So Middlebury off to the scoring first with Lamine Cisse, the senior, getting on the board. Jumbo's now looking to answer. We're 2 minutes into this first half. Maracas, 2 dribbles and a three. Off the back of the iron. It's rebounded by Cisse, who's had a big impact early. Flax pulls up from mid-range and knocks it down. First 2 baskets going the way of the Panthers.
And Flax, just a creative playmaker, as you mentioned. I mean, 5'9", the difference between him and the guy who's going to be guarding him, Maracas, he's 6'4", but someone who can really get to his spots and make plays.
Maracas on the drive, pulls up from Jamesi. Three-pointer is good. Scott Jamesi only shooting around 23% from downtown so far, but is a threat from the exterior.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. The first time Jamesi touches the ball today, the Jumbos get it in the basket.
I mean, that's only his 5th three-pointer the whole season made. So I wouldn't say I had that on my bingo card. But if he can start shooting the ball and start stretching the floor, another dimension opens up for the Tufts offense.
Three-pointer off the mark here from Cisse. Deturley looking to pick up the first lead of the game for the Jumbos. Jamesi, quick pass, tried to find a cutting Bernstein, but was just too late to the party. Here's Flax on the dribble drive, layup no good. Rebounded hardly by Brennan as he shoves Deturley to the ground, sending the ball the other way.
Yeah, and I think now is a good time to mention with the first foul of the game that fouls were a giant factor when these two teams played last year in the NESCAC quarterfinal. 2 bigs in Alex Sobel and Truman Gettings fouling out, which turned the tide of the game late. Something to keep an eye on going forward.
That was a big game for Scott Jamesi, a breakout even as he picked up, I believe, 14 rebounds off the bench because of some of the foul trouble that the rest of the backcourt was in. Deturley, top of the key, feeds inside to Bernstein. Kick, McLaren, long range, high arcing three is short. McLaren has struggled from the outside so far this season.
Yeah, he started off his career at Tufts as really one of their best three-point shooters, but seen his three-point percentage go down every season since, and he's under 30% on the year. So not really a high-efficiency shot. Middlebury probably good, doubling off of McLaren on Bernstein and letting him shoot those threes.
Flax in trouble. Kick. Cisse. Pump fake. An attempt at a steal by McLaren. They're going to have to reset. 9 to shoot. Osher, a deep step-back three. No good. Fight for the board. Not won by Brennan, and Maracas will control it.
I mean, that's a confident shot, off balance, and it almost went in. That's the type of shot Osher is going to be taking a lot tonight.
Maracas drives forward. Had some contact. No call. McLaren will tap it away off of the fast break, and looks like Middlebury going to reset underneath the basket.
And I think Middlebury has done a really good job on defense so far, not letting Tufts get into their sets, get the ball where they want it to go. Doubling in the paint, denying the ball in the paint, forcing the ball to move around the perimeter. We know Tufts wants to run this offense through the paint, through the block, whether that be Bernstein or Jamesi, and they have not let them do that just yet.
It's something we've seen Middlebury do now. They love that inbound to the backcourt as the Jumbo switch to the zone.
Some substitutions here for both teams. We'll update you in a second. Here's Osher. He's guarded by John Medley, who's just entered the game. In that inside, McCursey's shot is no good. Jamesi collects the board. We have Colina, McCursey, and Charlie Moore in for the Panthers. Bernstein, a strong take to the rim. Strong contest as well by McCursey. He gets it again, no good. Josh Bernstein hasn't been able to connect early on in this first half.
Two good looks in the paint. Couldn't get either of them to fall, as I said in the pregame. Those type of 50-50 shots in the paint, layups, you just got to get those to go if you want to, pad a lead at any point in this game.
Flax, a lot of ball handling duty so far. Kicks to Moore on that left corner. Guarded by Jamesi. 8 to shoot. Fadeaway instead dumps it inside, and the layup is good for the sophomore center, McCursey.
Yeah, great feed there from Moore. Got 2 to bite. Found the open guy cutting weak side. Now both teams going to run zones.
A low-scoring ordeal so far here. Just 4 made baskets across both teams in the first 5 minutes. Tufts, good ball movement. Leaves Maracas with an open 3. Too strong. Here's Flax. Over to Osher. Straight away. Triple is good. And it's quickly 9 to 3. The lead doubling with 1 shot there from the lead scorer of the Panthers, Osher.
And it's interesting. I wouldn't say the Jumbos are getting bad looks.
They're going to try again. Medley has been one of their strongest shooters and has been unable to connect from that one. As we mentioned, the shooting down since the Jumbos' early success at the start of the year. We're ranked as high as number 5 in the Deep 3 standings. Quick cross there from Flax. Over to Osher. Going to try his hand at another triple. No good. And a sigh of relief from the Jumbos. They don't want him to get hot.
But I think Medley on Flax is a great matchup for the Jumbos. Medley is long and super athletic.
Quick ball movement, 3 successive passes, leads to a nice 7-foot floater from Scott Jamesi.
And that's what they've been looking for in every offensive possession. Move the ball around, but ultimately penetrate, get it in the middle, and get an open shot. Finally did it right there, and I think that's really going to be the recipe to success for a Jumbos team that so far has not been able to shoot the ball from 3.
And a giveaway there from Osher. McCursey unable to control it. Now Jumbo's on the fast break. Medley, off of a nice feed from DeTurley, will cut the lead to 2.
And that's the athleticism I was talking about. He makes a difference. He pops on the floor every time he's on.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. That's growth, too. Medley had a similar layup the first time these two teams played. With his left hand, missed it. This time, no mistake. Goes straight up, finishes strong.
Flax picks up his dribble. Mid-range jumper from McCursey is good. Jackson McCursey, not a threat from 3-point range, but able to knock that one down from 15.
Yeah, Jared, you were talking in the pregame how you thought mid-range wasn't going to be a factor, and we kind of agreed with you. Middlebury didn't take any mid-range shots the first time these two teams played. That's the 3rd they've taken already here in this first half.
Medley calls out a play. DeTurley cuts to that right side elbow. Over to Jamesi, who, same spot, same result, knocks it down.
And his touch near the rim really jumps out, and it's been probably the biggest part of his growth to really the centerpiece of this team over the last year. He's not just a rebounder. He's not just a bruiser. He has a bag near the paint. He has a bag around the rim, and he hit a 3 earlier. He's really expanded his offensive game.
Osher left wide open, fell to the ground, did not get the call, but The Jumbos and Brandon Linton certainly upset with that, leaving the best scorer on the Panthers open to extend that lead back out to 5.
Yeah, that time Medley got caught trying to go under the pick switch. Jumbos had been doing a good job with that high pick and roll of switching over and bringing help from the big. That time, both stayed under, and if you give that shot to Noah Osher, there's only ever going to be one result.
Yeah, Osher, 33.7% from 3. Doesn't really jump out at you, but he's 5th in the NESCAC in three-pointers made per game. He takes a lot of threes. I think that partly is why he's not shooting in that 40-45% range. He takes a lot of shots. He's really the offensive focal point for this Middlebury team, and if you leave him open threes, good looks like that, and he gets into a rhythm, he is one of the most dangerous players in the NESCAC.
We know that Osher is good from 2 and also from 3, shooting pretty decent splits for somebody who gets such a high volume of shots, Riley. But with the Jumbos running that zone, we're expecting to see more looks from the outside, which so far they've been able to capitalize on.
Yeah, first time these two teams played, 11 possessions. The Jumbos ran zone, 8 ended in open Middlebury 3 attempts.
Some more substitutions. We see Bobby Stewart, Kai Champion, and Dylan Riley entering the game for the first time for the Jumbos.
Jumbos really could use a big performance from those upperclassmen in Stewart and Champion today.
Medley, give and go from Jamesi, will pull it from long range and knock it down.
He was an X factor in the first matchup between these two teams earlier this season. I think he's going to be one again today. When John Medley is on, I mean, he's a freshman. When he's on, he just adds a completely new dimension to the Jumbos roster.
Three-pointer, no good from Jaden Bobbitt, who's entered the game. Now Champion moving into the fast break. Another give and go from Jamesi. Champion thought about it and said he'll drive. Riley, pump fake. Back over to Champion, who went cross court. Inside to Stewart, 16 to shoot. He's guarded by the tall McCursey. Cross court pass. Medley will try again. Way too strong. Fight for the rebound, secured by Riley. Champion getting right back into position. Will pull up from 3, no good. We see Sam Stevens in the game here for Middlebury. Was injured for a lot of the year at Siemens, but was a big part of this team over the last couple of years.
That's the first time he's played since the first week of the NESCAC season.
Give and go, really nicely done by Joseph, but he's denied by Medley. No call by the referees. They've been letting these boys play. Riley, one dribble, shot, denied by number 23, Charlie Moore. Middlebury trying to go in transition. Overrunning that ball was Joseph, and now they'll reset. McCursey, guarded by Stewart. Moore, thought about a 3, guarded by Jamesi, will go back out. Stripped of the ball, and they attempted to grab a steal right off of Bobbitt, but instead, they'll call it a jump ball.
Yeah, kind of surprised at the way this one's being called so far. Definitely has the physicality of a traditional NESCAC game, but looking up at the scoreboard, that's only the first team foul on the Jumbos, each team with only 1 10 minutes into the game.
Just about halfway through this first half, and it's been very close back and forth, but Middlebury has held that lead for the majority of this game.
And the Jumbos back in, it looks like a 3-2 zone. They ran this a lot in the last matchup to varying levels of success.
Give and go, Cisse just re-entering from that left side, bank shot no good. Offensive rebound controlled by the Panthers, and Brennan, I believe, called a timeout to make sure that their team kept the ball.
And you mentioned Sam Stevens back in the game. That's a surprise to me. Didn't really see that one coming. He was the NESCAC Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago. Had an unbelievably strong rookie year. He came out the gate averaging over 33 minutes a game. He was up over 18 points per game. Hasn't been smooth sailing since then, both in terms of individual performance and now, unfortunately, injuries. But again, you have a guy who was the NESCAC Rookie of the Year coming off your bench. That's just another guy you can throw at the defense, another guy who I think maybe Tufts was or was not prepared to deal with given how little he's played this so far this year. But for a Middlebury team that, say, its bench is not its greatest strength, that is huge.
Yeah, for sure. To add guys like that, especially when you have ones who not just have regular season experience, but have postseason success, like Sam Stevens, having 2 postseason wins under his belt, having won games in the postseason in both of the last 2 years. It gives you something that you might not be able to quantify, but brings something to your team.
And when we take a look at what's been the difference between the Jumbos and the Panthers so far this season, it's been their ability to fill in gaps within their players, and Stevens going to be a gap that hopefully will be filled by the Panthers here by himself as he misses that layup right off the timeout.
That was a beautiful out-of-bounds play right there, and they smoked it at the rim.
Yeah, you and I have different descriptions of that play. That, to me, was just a lapse on the Jumbos.
Riley, catch and shoot 3, way off. Riley had a really good game against Trinity. He knocked down a couple of triples and had a career high of 11 points, I believe. Reverse lay-in is good. An acrobatic play from Tristan Joseph to extend the lead.
I think last time, again, we keep bringing up this last matchup, Tufts had a lot of success cutting, getting behind the defense, moving their guys around. So far right now, Middlebury, moving guys, cutting behind the defense, and they're generating a lot of good looks off that, as Tufts has badly missed several threes.
Looks from the outside, not going well for the Jumbos here so far. We're 9.5 minutes left to go in this first half. Bob it, and another timeout.
I think they got a moving screen there on Sam Stevens.
Yeah, moving screen and a timeout, so we're both right.
Some more substitutions
no timeout
for Tufts. We'll see some of those starters re-entering the game, Maracas and Bernstein alongside Turley, and we also see Truman Gettings entering the game. We talk about some of these late season additions, Riley. This is somebody who was very important for the Jumbos throughout a lot of the past 2 years.
Yeah, had been pretty much the first name off the bench for the last 2 years, if not starting. Had been hurt for the last 2 months, back in the rotation today.
Turley, 2 dribbles and a pop, knocks it down from the top of the key.
And that look is set up by the presence of the 2 bigs on the court, rolling to the rim. Get a wide open look in the mid-range and rhythm if you're a player like Jada Turley.
One of the larger lineups you'll see the Jumbos run. We have McLaren alongside Gettings and Bernstein in that front court. Brennan, kick out, Flax. 3-pointer is good. He knocks it down once again.
And you mentioned the size of this Jumbos lineup. Your point guard is 6'4". You've got pretty much 2 centers on the court. They had Riley on the court before. He's a 6'6" shooting guard. The Jumbos, there's a lot of different ways they can piece this together to try to find a matchup advantage. The question is, can they take advantage?
Gettings on that high post. He's guarded by Cisse. That's a mismatch in terms of size. Fadeaway jumper off the glass is good. Welcome back, Truman Gettings.
You think he called that?
I don't know if he called it, but I think the Jumbos have just figured out the code, and it's tight.
Despite the lack of shooting from the outside, Jumbos keeping this one close. They're only down 3. Cut inside, Cisse over to Joseph. And Maracas intercepts the pass to Brennan. Jumbo's looking to move really quickly. Maracas tries to go behind the back, and it goes right into the hands of Joseph, who brings it back the other way. From that left side, goes across the baseline. Inside to Brennan, loses control of the ball, and it will hop out of bounds in favor of Tufts.
Yeah, I wonder about the decision there from Tristan Joseph. 1-on-3, didn't make the wrong decision in trying to go through them all, but maybe next time wants to think about taking that back out, setting up a settle offense.
I think both teams made the exact same mistake. Maracas put his head down. Honestly, sloppy, fast break possession, turned it over on a behind the back, go the other way, and he gets stuck underneath the rim and a turnover.
Jumbos have a chance to tie depending on shot selection here. Gettings not a threat from the outside. Cross-court pass to McLaren, who is. His 3-pointer from that left corner, rimming in and out. And nothing coming down for the Jumbos in terms of 3-pointers. Osher draws contact on the pull-up jumper and will head to the line to shoot 2.
He knows how to sell a call on a jump shot. Not saying that wasn't a foul, but he puts himself in position to get fouled anytime he goes up, hangs in the air, and probably a good call by the referee.
Yeah, Osher, one of the only players I've seen in the NESCAC who's found a way to fall back consistently on shots where there hasn't been defenders in his airspace.
Osher, an 80% free throw shooter, will have that one get knocked down. Scott Jamesi re-entering the game as Gettings likely on a minutes restriction or at least a watch by Coach Linton to make sure that he's always fresh when he's on the floor.
Yeah, Jamesi re-entering, the leading scorer in this one with 7.
Yeah, Tufts has had the most success when they have found him cutting to the paint, getting him looks around the rim. As we've said multiple times, the 3-point shot has been pretty ugly as a turnover.
A strip by Ian Murray, who's entered the game with 7 minutes to go. Give and go. Murray trying to make an impact early. The layup no good, and Turley now pushing it back the other way.
Beautiful dish right there from Flax, though. He continues to make plays.
Jamesi had it stripped by Brennan, and a lot of turnovers here in this first half.
Yeah, that is the 4th Jumbos turnover compared to 6 for Middlebury, so neither team particularly careful with the ball.
Osher from that left elbow, looks like he was trying to draw a foul, and he was unable to get it and did not connect that shot as well.
Bernstein was pretty much being manhandled down there.
And I think that's the key, the goal, at least from Middlebury, play physical defense in the paint. How far they can push it is the question, because as we said, the Jumbos won that last game by over 20 points exclusively on pounding the ball in the paint, literally straight line to the basket every single play, and using Bernstein as a guy to generate good looks. If they can just manhandle him out of there, it's a big, big solution for a problem Middlebury has faced all season.
You see an adjustment here from Middlebury. They're playing their 2 forwards here with both Bernstein and Jamesi on the court, as Maracas will draw a foul on the inside.
And that's what I mean. For someone like Maracas, 6'4" point guard, you have so much attention on Bernstein in the paint, so much attention on Jamesi. That means a lot of space in between the paint and the perimeter for a guy like Maracas to put his head down and force his way into the paint.
Yeah, and that's his second personal now on Tristan McCursey. So the 2 big mention that you had, Andrew, we'll see how long they can stick with it.
Maracas knocks down that first free throw. He's 75% from the line this year. You mentioned Bernstein had a relatively quiet comeback off of the winter break and recently resurged with 2 double-digit performances in their last 2 NESCAC games, but has yet to get on the board so far here today.
For him, it's really just about when he gets the ball within 5 feet of the basket, if he can just will the ball in, he's often the most dominant player on the court. There are some games when those shots just don't fall.
And a rare sighting here, non-Noah Osher minutes.
We'll see what Middlebury can do, and if Tufts can take advantage. Flax, catch and shoot 3, off the back of the iron, and Jamesi now looking to run off the board. Kick out to DeTurley. Right back to Scott. Cross court, Maracas tried to buy Flax a little bit. Kick out, Medley, a wide open 3, and he finally knocks it down. Trace Puntos for John Medley.
That entire play was set up by Josh Bernstein, sealing off the alley, forcing the double to come to kick out Maracas, who found the open man.
Pretty classic basketball. Pack the paint, defense collapses, kick out.
And Medley providing some factors on the defensive end as well. An acrobatic block from behind will send a side out of bounds for the Panthers.
Yeah, John Medley, go.
Medley, 8 minutes, 3 for 5, 2 for 4 from 3, 8 points. That's a block, 2 rebounds, and assist. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say at this point, he should be in the starting lineup at the start of the second half.
And I think we're going to be seeing a big year from him next year. That's just my prediction. He has really jumped out all season long.
Medley getting the assignment on Osher. Shot clock at 5, pull up from mid-range, no good, and Medley another fight for the board.
Was the crowd trying to trick Osher into thinking the shot clock was lower than it was? I heard 4, 3, 2, 1, and the clock was at 7.
Yes, they did, and they did it successfully, forced him into a bad shot there.
Home court advantage with a packed crowd in Cousins. Jumbos were giving away free T-shirts for the first few fans that entered the arena early.
If you like brown T-shirts, they are very, very good-looking shirts.
7 to shoot. Maracas finding trouble, has the ball stripped away from him. Medley has to put it up. 1 second on the shot clock. The fadeaway just short, and Flax controls the board.
That was shockingly close.
Here's Stevens. Drives inside. He's guarded by Jamesi, met with Bernstein as well. Elbow jumper. Banker is good for McCursey. You have to imagine the Jumbos are willing to give that one up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Based on the way they've been guarding that so far, they seem more than content. I don't think he called bank on that one. I think they'll continue to let that mid-range shot up.
Here's Bernstein, guarded by McCursey. Dribble to that reverse layup. The same play we saw at the start of the game, this time results in the basket.
But McCursey can't contest there because he's sitting on 2 fouls right now. Bernstein knew it, went at him.
Exactly, and that's a grown man move. Use the leverage against the defense, and there's really no way. Use the rim as leverage, as I said. Go up under, and you can't guard that.
Osher right back to McCursey. And it looks like lightning does not strike twice as it bounces off the rim.
I mean, Bernstein's not even contesting that shot.
Less than 4 minutes to play in this first half. Jumbos have the chance to take the lead. Here's Jamesi. Kick out to Medley. Corner 3, wide open, bang! Jumbos take their first lead of the game.
That's a fantastic pass from Jamesi. Cross court again. Bernstein the effect in the paint. They don't even see Medley relocate in the opposite corner, and, you know, he's hot.
We mentioned how, as I'm going to let Andrew take over here.
Here's Stevens. He's guarded by Jamesi. Tries to work in that low post and finishes with a really nice banker. I think he called that one.
I do too. We mentioned how in this game a year ago, Scott Jamesi broke out as a star. Is it possible we're seeing the same from John Medley right now?
Some excellent minutes off the bench so far. Here's Bernstein, tries to go for a spin, falls to the ground, and now the Jumbos, with a numbers disadvantage, will allow a layup to go through from Tristan Joseph.
Yeah, McCursey just pulled the chair out on Bernstein. That's pretty great defense.
Here's Maracas, immediately met by a double, will find Bernstein, draws contact, and will knock it down, +1.
Yeah, one possession, great defense, pulled the chair out. That time, went to double Maracas. I don't really know why. It left Bernstein wide open in the lane.
Yeah, both teams have given up points now on pretty needless doubles or over-aggressive help defense late in possessions. Happened right there. And this Jumbos team, last 3 minutes, looks completely different than they did the first 5 of the game. And we're tied at 27-27. I think this is really shaping up to be an absolutely wonderful matchup.
Bernstein, with 2 quick baskets, will look to make it 5 if he can complete this free throw. We mentioned a lot of turnovers in general by Bernstein, but that just goes to show how willing he is to be aggressive and put the ball on the ground in that low post situation. And finally, we're seeing the dividends pay off for it as we're getting some good baskets here at the time that it's called.
I think he is a totally different player than the one we saw last season, the one who came off the bench in the NESCAC quarterfinal game against Middlebury. And I think the big difference has been that aggression. You see him calling for the ball. He wants the ball in the paint. He's not afraid to go up. And he has totally revamped his offensive game to where he can pick his spots in the paint and make it work on his terms, which is not what was happening last year. And that has just been really why the Jumbos have been able to come back from an incredibly slow shooting start.
Yeah, and I think we've seen Bernstein realize there are times to do the aggressive thing, put the ball on the floor, but there are also times, like on that last possession, where you're 6'11". If you keep the ball up high, there's no one who can take it from you. Stay strong, go up strong, and good things will happen.
And the Jumbos as a team have gotten a lot better at recognizing those opportunities, when to get the ball into the paint, when to swing it around, when that opportunity is just so big that you need to put the ball there. We're seeing the same thing in the NBA with the San Antonio Spurs, right, with Wembanyama. He's 7'4". This is different, but for NESCAC terms, 6'11" might as well be 7'4". And as a team, figuring out when that man is just so big and so tall that all you need to do is put the ball up, that's how a team grows together and everyone becomes a better playmaker.
Yeah, I think Brandon Layton's job for the offseason has to be to teach Josh Bernstein to shoot like Wembanyama, because if he can do that, then D3 basketball is basically broken.
Yeah, the point center version of Josh Bernstein, we'll have to wait on that one.
It's a 1-point game with 2.5 minutes left to go. The last 2 regular season matchups for these teams were kind of blowouts. Middlebury won the first one handily in 2022, and we saw earlier on the pregame show, Jumbos with a 20-plus point victory against the Panthers here at Cousins. But both times these teams have met in the playoffs, in these quarterfinals, the stakes have seemingly got a little bit higher.
Yeah, double overtime last year, and this game is shaping up to be just as close.
But you wouldn't really expect anything different from the 4-5 in the NESCAC tournament.
One of the most competitive conferences in Division III, and we're seeing it right here. Osher from mid-range, fadeaway, no good.
And a good closeout.
As much as the Jumbos should be willing to live with Tristan McCursey jumpers, I don't know how I feel about letting those jumpers from Noah Osher go free.
Here's Medley at the top of the key. Was guarded by Bobbitt. Now Jamesi taking it inside, guarded by Stevens, and mismatch will result in a bucket for the Jumbo sophomore.
I mean, on one hand, that finish is just beautiful. On the other hand, beautiful set by the Jumbos, draw the defense's attention to the right side of the floor, the weak side, but really it was all to set up a one-on-one opportunity for Jamesi, who takes advantage.
Here's Bobbitt from 3, short. Jaden Bobbitt was a big factor for the Middlebury Panthers last year, has received a little bit less playing time off the bench this year, still shooting not super well. Was 40% last season from 3, this year just about at 20.
Yeah, Bobbitt started 47 out of 50 games his first 2 years. This year has been completely in a different role coming off the bench. Yeah, under 3 points a game, so any impact from him at all really would be a boon to the Middlebury offense.
Joseph with a strong drive, no good, but Brennan able to collect the board. Give and go, right back to Brennan, draws contact from the back by Deterley. It will go to the line.
Yeah, and I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but it was clear, at least from here, that Bernstein definitely had an influence on that layup attempt there from Tristan Joseph.
One of the best defenders for the Jumbos. Bernstein has had a block in all but 4 games this season that he's participated in.
And something that's been remarkably even so far has been the rebounding battle. Really, I had that circled on my game sheet coming into this game. last game they played, Jumbo's completely dominated on the boards. It was something like 40-28. Pretty much ran away with the game because of how much they increased their physicality, stayed in the paint, got up, grabbed the ball. But tonight, Middlebury up 20-17, pretty even, and 2 more offensive rebounds. But if that battle stays even throughout the game, I think we're going to see the score stay even along with it.
Look for the Jumbos here to get a 2-for-1.
20 on the shot clock. Jamesi finding a spot in the low post. Ball finds his foot and will sail out of bounds. Sloppy mistake with 50 seconds to go in the half. Now Middlebury has an opportunity for a 2-for-1. Bobbitt bringing it up. Has facilitated well in limited minutes for the Panthers, averaging about 2 assists per game. Here's Brennan over to Osher. Osher quiet since that first outburst at the beginning of this half. Brennan, hook shot no good, and Jamesi brings it back.
And it was Medley who denied Osher the ball in that entire possession.
Yeah, and really poor clock management there from both teams, especially from Middlebury. They had a chance to get a 2-for-1, took too long, and the Jumbos should be able to take this one almost all the way down.
Less than a second separating the shot clock and the game clock. We're winding down this first half with the Jumbos up by 2. Here's Maracus, guarded by Osher. Deturley now, 4 to shoot. Gonna have to make a play, dribbles right through 2 Panthers and loses control of the ball. Long range shot is way too strong here from Bobbitt, and that will conclude the first half. Some turnovers on both sides to end it, and we're gonna head into a very, very close game down the stretch, Riley.
Yeah, it's looking like we got a classic on our hands. I mean, here at JumboCast, with NESCAC quarterfinals left and right over the years, we've seen plenty of classics, and it's really great that we have an entire team on the Jumbo Zone ready to break it all down for you. Jared, your thoughts on that first half?
Yeah, pretty much as good of a half of basketball as we could have asked for. Remarkably even across the board. Very physical as we expected, but the refs have been letting them play. Only 7 combined free throws between the 2 teams. Beginning looked like Jumbos couldn't hit the side of a barn. They ended up with more threes than Middlebury by the end of the half, 4-3. But really, it was back and forth. Everything really evened out. 30-28 your score, and I think, unless something really gives, we're in for a very, very, very good second half.
We'll be back in about 15 minutes with more gameplay. However, make sure to stay tuned for our halftime show where we'll have Ethan Ito, Jake Flossie, and Molly Sullivan to break down the game, plus replays and more. We'll see you then.
30 for the Jumbos and 28 for the Panthers at half here in Cousins, as we've seen a tight contest so far. A little different from the matchup that happened a few weeks ago, at least so far. Molly, take us through some of the patterns that we've seen in the first half.
Yeah, so as you said, 30 to 28. Here's the story so far. Some pretty even stats. We see field goal percentage only 5% away, three-point percentage very similar, rebounds, assists, very close stats. This is a close game, and the stats match it. One thing that Tufts has taken a bit of a lead with his bench points. Tufts with 13 bench points, Middlebury with 8. As we talked about before the game, bench points were vital to each team's success last game, and one player that we can definitely say has taken control so far from the bench is John Medley. Those 13 points are mostly attributed to him, so looking forward to seeing what the bench will do for the rest of this game. But as you said, score is close, stats are close today.
And one thing that sticks out to me is the Jumbos are actually not that much farther behind on three-point percentage, but they have looked pretty bad from there. I think Medley is carrying most of those threes. Here we see a clip where the Jumbos get 2 different chances to get a three, miss both of them. One of them is Medley, who's had a very strong game so far right there. Riley gets the rebound, kicks it back at the champion, gets a screen off of Stewart, takes another three, misses it. And that's been the story, it feels like, at least in the first half of that first quarter, was the Jumbos just missing three after three and unable to get on the board. They took a bit better situation in the second part, and we've seen, as we talked about, Medley has had a great game so far. He's on 11 points, leading both teams this start. He's got 3 rebounds, 2 pretty crazy blocks as well, which have been fun to watch. And the only reason the Jumbos are even close to the Middlebury three-point percentage is because Medley has hit 3 threes, along with Jamesi hitting 1, surprisingly.
Yeah, and as you said and shown there, John Medley missing a 3, but that was a rare occurrence for him. This game, he's shot a bunch, and he's made most of his. Even that air ball, he's hit rim on most of his shots, so good game for him so far.
And he's been showing off how he can impact the game in so many ways. I mean, he's taking control. You see the freakish athleticism on the blocks. Jake, take us through it.
Yeah, this is a crazy block right here. He sees the rebound, the attempt from Joseph to go for the layup, and he just shuts it down. He's one of the better defenders than the Jumbos, and we've seen him switch on to Osher for a while, and he's been playing well against that, and there on Joseph just shuts him down. No chance on that layup.
And now we talked pregame about the Middlebury trap and how they'd come out aggressive and try and, on pick and rolls particularly, kind of push the ball handler out, not let the Jumbos get comfortable into their actions. Jake, show us how they've leveraged that so far.
Yes, so as we see, the Middlebury team has, we talked in the pregame, they hadn't been that successful in the game with the traps, but in this game, we can see the trap work really well in this play here as the Jumbos try to set up a nice pick here for Maracas. The trap sticks out. McCarthy's able to get the ball, forces in a low shot clock situation. Medley take a rough shot, which is his other three-point miss of the day. So the Middlebury defense working better.
Yeah, and on that play, just a little bit scrambling from the Jumbos. Unsure, nervous play. That's always going to lead to a stress shot, a quick shot that's probably not going to fall for them.
And now the stakes are high this afternoon. You can see there's a lot of energy from both teams. And this isn't the only game that's going on concurrently right now. We have some other scores from around the NESCAC quarterfinals for men's basketball, with Amherst taking a win over Conn College, I believe, in a game that has already concluded, and Hamilton and Williams tied at 32 at half, and Wesleyan and Trinity, we have an updated score, so Wesleyan are up 34-33 on Trinity. Now tell us about how this may shape up as we move forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, so as we can see here, it's tight all across the board. Amherst pulling the upset on Conn College. That's a 6 seed beating the 3 seed, which for Jumbos fans out there is not a good sign. They don't want to face Trinity. They got smoked by Trinity last week, and they're a team that's very scary to play. And if Amherst wins this game and Williams wins and Tufts wins, then Williams, the 1 seed, would play the 6 seed Amherst. The 2 seed Trinity would take on the 4 seed Tufts, which for all Jumbos fans out there, that's a scary prospect.
Yeah, and just looking at the scores here, we know that NESCAC play is competitive. Middlebury and Tufts having the same record, being 4-5, close runs in the standings. So no surprise here that most of these scores are close. Actually, all of them are close. Excited to see how these games play out and who's going to be playing in the semifinals.
And if you think about this, the 1 seed versus 8 seed, Williams-Hamilton is tied 32-32, which may seem surprising, but in the regular season when they played, Williams won by 1. Wesley and Trinity, a 1-point difference, 2 seed versus 7 seed. But when they played the regular season, they went to overtime. So the seeds may imply there's a big gap, but really there isn't much.
And again, I mean, we said it before the game. We're going to say it again at halftime. You wipe the slate clean. You're playing for your playoff lives here right now, and every team knows that that's true, and every team knows that they have a chance. And now, it is so. We'll be right back. The score is 30-28 at half. The Jumbos up 2, and playoff lives on the line for the Panthers and the Jumbos.
NESCAC quarterfinals. We have the Jumbos of Tufts University up 30-28 over the Middlebury Panthers in a very close back and forth game. Riley, even though the regular season matchup between these two teams did not go super even, there's a reason that both of these teams are 5-5 in NESCAC play, and we're seeing it here today.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have some shooting ability. They have an ability to play solid defense. They have an ability to fight on the boards, and they know what it takes to win NESCAC games.
Yeah, it's just simply been an evenly matched game so far, perhaps more evenly matched than we thought going in. And really, with all of the NESCAC in flux right now, with the results we're seeing from these games around the league, either team could come out of here with a lot of momentum and make a play for the entire tournament.
Middlebury led for a majority of that first half. Jumbos took the lead towards the end. In terms of leading scorers, Noah Osher, no surprise, leading the way for the Panthers with 8 points. However, only 2 of 7 from the field. Going to have to be a little bit more effective from the field in order to have Middlebury pull away with this one. Starting off the second half, layup no good from David Brennan, and a quick cross-court pass outlet to McLaren to reset for the Jumbos.
Yeah, nice pass there from Bernstein.
But credit to the Middlebury defense, they got back. They prevented an easy run out.
Here's to Turley, inside to Jamesi. Size mismatch against Cisse, but is unable to get it. Fight for the board, controlled by Middlebury, and now Flax running away. Over to Osher. Pump fake, caught McLaren off guard. Over to Flax now. Driving in, Marakis with a strip.
Yeah, but that's a good decision from McLaren there to bite on the pump fake. He knew he had Bernstein inside to support a possible drive.
Here's Deturley. One dribble, pops the 3, knocks it down for the first bucket of the second half.
That was something we saw in the second half of this first matchup. Deturley coming off those back screens, rolling and getting the uncontested 3s.
One of the larger leads we've seen here for Tufts today. It's 5 right now over Middlebury. Here's Flax. He's guarded by Marakis. Very quick. Pass back inside to Brennan. No good. Bernstein playing a factor defensively. Here's Marakis right now. Caught the defense off guard. Goes for a 3, and it's a little bit too strong.
That would have been a big 3.
If he can get one to fall at some point, really would just be such a difference maker.
Brennan layup, no good. Bernstein controls the board.
Yeah, Middlebury cannot buy a basket right now. It doesn't matter how much change they got on him.
Here's Jamesi. Thought about it from mid-range instead to Bernstein in the low post. Guarded by Brennan. Works his way around defender, and it's no good. Going the other way. Joseph lost control of the handle. Over to Cisse, and now a reset.
Yeah, Bernstein 100% got away with a walk there on that offensive end.
Quick give and go. Drawing the foul is Osher. We'll see if it's on the floor or if it will be 2 free throws for the guard.
Yeah, and Osher, just such a smart offensive player. Yeah, he's a shot taker. He's a main scorer on their offense, but it's not just on ball. It's not just pull-up jump shots. Cuts back door right there, catches the defense off guard, and no choice but to foul if you're a jumbo defender.
Was ruled a shooting foul, so we'll see Osher trying to hit double digits here at the line.
Referee having a conversation with David Brennan at center court. Not something you see too often. Maybe, wants that physicality to be answered with maybe a couple more whistles in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably all the bigs on both sides have a little bit to complain about there with so few fouls being called in a very physical game.
Quickly, a substitution as Brennan will be subbed out for McCursey, who had an effective 6 points in 9 minutes. DeTurley with a kick. Maracas did not make a field goal in that first half. The runner, no good, and it's rebounded by Cisse. Flax, quick pass, and without a dribble, going straight to the rim is Jackson McCursey for his 8th points.
They said it last night on TNT, but we'll say it here again. When your big man runs the floor, you reward him.
Middlebury bringing this game back to within 1. Bernstein guarded heavily by McCursey at the top of the key. Here's DeTurley off the screen from Bernstein. Pull up 3, no good.
That one was halfway down.
Osher looking to give Middlebury the lead. Drives in on McLaren. 2 passes and a 3 ball is good from Tristan Joseph. Panthers regain the lead with 17 minutes to go in this second half.
And Joseph just looks off the incoming Maracas, uses the threat of the pass to open up the shot, and wide open, knocks it down, and now back in the lead.
Maracas drives strong with that left side, no good, gets his own board and draws contact. But you can see James Maracas struggling to get the ball into the net. He will have a chance to shoot 2, but it is a 7-0 Middlebury run.
Yeah, I see that. What I also see is the same thing I've seen all day, which is Middlebury does not have a guard who has the defensive foot speed to stay in front of James Maracas.
I think that's true, but I also think they've done a good job playing him physical. When he gets downhill, they've been cutting off really any good angles of the basket. He goes left but tries to score with his right, which is always kind of a difficult shot to make. And then, he split his first pair of free throws, but at the end of the day, he's 0 for 4 so far. And credit to the defense for doing that. As I said, matchup-wise, you get a 6'4" point guard and a 5'9" point guard. Yeah, that should be, easy buckets, but it hasn't been, and I think that's credit to Middlebury.
Maracas, very effective for the Jumbos to start the season. Of course, had that good game against Middlebury in NESCAC play just a couple of weeks ago.
But since then, 6 for 25 in the last 4 games. That's 24% from the field. He had 1 game with 0 points and none in double figures.
All even at 35. Pass inside. McCursey, 1 dribble, is denied by Bernstein. Poked out, and DeTurley will now control it for the Jumbos. Maracas one-on-one, goes right through the defenders, knocks it down, plus the harm.
Okay, that's the James Maracas we knew to expect coming into this game.
Foul by Ian Murray, and now Maracas heads right back to the line, but this time with the Jumbo lead. Take a look at the replay here. Really nice pass by DeTurley to find James.
I mean, the in-and-out move, go up with the right. My eyes were on McCursey the whole time. He was making a beeline down the court. I thought he was going to catch up, but Maracas makes such a strong move to get up so quickly that he just beats McCursey to the rim, gets the and one, and maybe pushes the momentum back in the Jumbo's favor.
Yeah, we've been talking all day about Jumbos who we think are going to have great years next year. Jackson McCursey, a 6'8" sophomore center who can run the floor like that, he's got some serious potential for the Panthers.
Yeah, I've been very impressed by what I've seen from him on both ends of the court.
Flax loses Maracas and ends up missing on that fadeaway jumper from the left elbow.
And this is where, if you're the Jumbos, big possessions, stand on defense and try to expand that lead on offense.
Bernstein going hard, 2 dribbles, reverse lay-in is good with the left hand.
How do you stop that?
Yeah, he's so long that once he gets that 1 step by you on the baseline, if you don't have your foot and you don't cut him off, as soon as he gets by you, he can reach all the way under the rim and just too easy for a guy who's 6'11".
Yeah, Andrew, you mentioned the 7-0 Middlebury run. Well, the Jumbos respond in kind with a 7-0 run of their own. And I think if those 2 runs are an indication of anything, it's that I don't think this game is getting away from either team at any point today.
Timeout called by the Middlebury coach, Jeff Brown, in his 28th season. A very seasoned coach, I guess you could say, for Middlebury. Has 4 NESCAC champions under his belt, made the Final Four in 2011, and now going to try to talk some sense into his team to regain control and send their team to the NESCAC semifinals.
Yeah, and as you know, I mean, Middlebury's going to be a well-coached team. This is a guy who's been around for a very long time. And when we look at the matchup last year in the NESCAC quarterfinal, this Jumbo's team, they were leading by, I think, 9 points with 6 minutes to go. And next thing you knew, it was a tie game, double overtime, right? These runs we're looking at, I think both teams are so well coached, have so much talent that they don't mean anything. 5 points is not a lead, and I think we're going to see that.
I mean, it's the NESCAC. There's no such thing as a safe lead.
Jumbo lead right now is 5. We'll see if it stays that way for the remainder of this second half. Right now, leading scorer still John Medley, who don't believe has come into the game just yet, but we'll see when Coach Linton wants to pull the trigger, when he's seeing some good things out of his starters. Right now, we're looking at Maracas, who has 5 second-half points, and Josh Bernstein with 7 points and 4 rebounds, including that last layup.
And he's got 3 blocks. I'm not sure if all 3 of them have come in the second half. At least 2 of them are. Depends on what they're counting as a block. But he has really, really shown up in his interior presence over the past couple minutes.
This is the longest in a couple weeks now we've seen this starting unit stay in as a 5. So Linton really liking what he's seeing from them.
And now they started off in a zone, but looks like they're dropping back into man.
Middlebury need a response. Here's Moore at the top of the key. Over to Flax now, guarded by Maracas. Give and go to Murray. Picks up his dribble. Good ball movement, but 4 to shoot. Flax crossover, has to put a shot off. Really nice defense by Maracas, but a defensive rebound is unsuccessful. Brennan, the one to pick it up. Kick out. Murray from that left corner drives down the baseline. Really wide open 3. Not good from Charlie Moore.
And I think that was the best defensive possession of the game for the Jumbo so far.
McLaren just gets his pocket picked. Fight for the steal, and the loose ball is basically won by Deturley as it sails out of bounds, and Tufts will retain it.
Pretty lucky the Jumbos held on to that one. As I said, I really think they held up on the defensive end. Every single man did their job. Even though they gave up the offensive rebound, they didn't panic, but then just too aggressive by McLaren on the other end, and they're lucky to maintain possession.
Comes a line change for Tufts. John Medley, who had that exceptional first half, is back in to inbound the ball. We also see Bobby Stewart replacing Bernstein. Deturley. Over to Maracas. Stewart getting his first touch of this second half. He's guarded by Brennan. Over to Jamesi now, working the high post. Pulls away, fade away is good from that left elbow.
And there's your double-double for Scott Jamesi. 11 points, 10 boards already.
And has shown that he can score in a variety of different ways. We've seen floaters, we've seen turnaround jump shots. He even hit a 3, doing it all.
Lead up to 7 now for Tufts. Panthers need a basket. Here's Bobbitt. Over to Osher. Has been quiet in the second half. He's guarded by Medley. Step back jumper. No good, and it's rebounded by James Maracas. Here's Stewart. Looks to kick it back out. Still a lot of time on that shot clock. We see Dylan Riley looking to re-enter the game alongside Cisse at the scorer's table. Deturley gets a screen from Stewart. A lot of space. Step back three-pointer is good. Jay Deturley knocks it down from long range.
Jumbo's on a heater here. 12-0 run.
Osher needs to help this offense succeed right now. 2 dribbles and a kick. Middlebury very stagnant on the offensive end. They have not been able to find a good look. Here's Brennan, kick out. Murray thought about it, instead right back inside. Brennan will finally break that run and put some points up on the board for the Panthers.
That's good patience from the Middlebury offense. They were running Osher around, trying to find him. Didn't work, but everyone stayed within the offense, and they got a good shot.
Deturley, he's feeling it. Second straight triple from Jay Deturley. The lead, the largest it's been today at 11.
Yeah, and Middlebury, they decide to switch under the screen, and you just can't do that with a shooter as good as Jay Deturley.
And right when there was some momentum back from Middlebury, the Jumbos answer right back, and now Bobby Stewart has himself a steal. Here's Medley in transition, will look to reset. Osher fell to the ground, drew some contact, but no call. Maracus is going to get a foul called against him, and it looks like that'll be on the floor.
And Linton looking to substitute right now. I really like what everyone on the floor has been doing, especially Bobby Stewart. Doesn't have any points, but has just been a positive impact player both ends of the court. Really a strong screener. He makes good passes. We're seeing a timeout right here. We'll see what those substitutions end up being, but really have to like what you saw from that group. Not a group we've seen too often with Medley and Stewart in there for the Jumbos and Coach Linton.
It's an 11-point game here for Tufts. The lead was only 2 at the half, so after that early burst from the Panthers, the Jumbos have done a really good job responding. Now, in terms of what Middlebury can do to try and get themselves back in this game, Riley, they have to look at Noah Osher. He's been their best player throughout this entire season. Has struggled over the last couple of games, though, shooting just 29% from the field over their last 5 games. In Middlebury, they've gone 1-4 in that stretch. They need him to get going.
Yeah, Noah Osher, 2 for 8 today. Like, it's the same thing we've seen in those last couple of games where he's struggled from the field. And honestly, I think part of it is the Jumbos did their film, they did their homework, they knew how to defend him. The other part is his shot selection has not been good. He's taking those long twos that, like, are the worst shot in basketball.
And when you think about it, Jared, when we saw Osher succeeding early in that first half, it was from those pull-up threes or just those catch-and-shoot threes in rhythm. He made 2 of his first 4 shots, all of them being from long range.
Yeah, and the Jumbos is doing a great job denying, but not being in rhythm will really take away a lot of your options as a shooter. The first couple minutes of the second half was kind of a wash. I think the Jumbos were something like 3 for 7, same with Middlebury, but since then, it's been all Jumbos. Now they're 6 for 12 in the second half, and those 3 3-pointers have really been huge from Thorner and it's not Thorner, excuse me, Deterley. Man, my brain is still in last year.
I mean, he gives you Dylan Thorner vibes
really
the way
does.
he's shooting right
He
now.
He really does.
Missed on a heat check 3 there off the timeout. Here's Bobbitt.
Jamesi already looking to check back in, so short breather for him.
Over to Brennan right now. Good defense being played by Bobby Stewart. Layup, no good. A foul is called as a tough fall was taken by Jaden Bobbitt. Looks like they'll call that one against Deterley.
He's
on a loose
shocked.
ball.
Shocked that the call's on him. Not really sure. Just seemed like jumps, in air contact. They're going to call a foul. See who Jamesi's coming back in for because he just checked out of the game.
I think the bigger surprise is it looks like they're calling this a shooting foul.
I guess putback foul on the putback. Didn't really see possession there, but, it's a reasonable call.
Bobbitt connects on that first free throw. Started 25 of 26 games last season, averaging about 4.4 points per game on 40% three-point shooting. Has not had a game with over 10 points this year. And splits a pair here for the Panthers.
Jamesi's going after his rebound mark from last year's quarterfinal game. That's number 12 on the day.
Kai Champion back into the game as well. Jamesi. Cisse tried to get away with a steal. Medley, corner pop, no good. Fight for the rebound is secured by Bobby Stewart, and the Jumbos regain possession. Riley, he tries his hand at a step back and cashes it in.
And that just sent the bench into a frenzy. Step back 3 from the freshman, and that's the impact they were looking for. Wasn't sure he would play tonight, get the minutes, but I think they like his size, they like his effort, and they'll love if he can shoot like that.
Cisse, a big jump towards the rim, draws contact, falls to the ground. It'll be a foul down low, and it'll be under the rim.
And this is one thing the Jumbos can't really afford to do. All the momentum, as we take a look here at that step back 3 from Dylan Riley, the bench absolutely loving it. But if the Jumbos want to just keep the momentum, they can't afford these fouls that slow down the game, would maybe allow Middlebury to get some free throws.
And now back into his zone.
Joseph thought about it. Instead over to Brennan on the high post. Cisse, mid-range jumper, cash. Must needed points right now for the Panthers.
And in the game now for the Panthers is Kuba Kulina, who had a nice performance the first time these two teams played and has not touched the ball at any point today.
Here's Champion. Picks up a screen from Jamesi, went for the roll, now gets it from Riley. He's guarded by Cisse. He likes that matchup. Instead, looks to pass with 10 to shoot. Riley gets through one defender, a switch Back to Jamesi. He pulls up, knocks it down from 7 feet out. Timeout called. Brendan Litton wants his players to get a breather with the lead up to 13.
Jamesi just continues to impress. I've said it a million times, but just seems like any shot near the rim, if he can get his hands under the ball, he can manipulate in midair. He can find a way to just put it in the basket. His touch is just so nice, and that is one of the many reasons why the Jumbos are up 13. Strong contributions. Don't think there's been a weak link on the floor for the Jumbos this half.
Yeah, Jamesi proven why he is the leading shooter, at least in field goal percentage, in the NESCAC. 6 of 7 today. Talk about a modicum of efficiency. His efficiency rating, that fancy metric that they love to put on NESCAC games that I have no idea what it means, is a nice, clean 22.
That is
really
not
well.
what modicum means.
Everyone playing really well for the Jumbos, though, across the board. John Medley hasn't really gotten involved in the second half, but it hasn't mattered due to the exceptional play of those like Deturley here in this second half. Maracas has gotten it going a little bit again. And Scott Jamesi, kind of that main character for the Jumbos all throughout this season, very quietly having himself another incredibly solid game.
But I think pretty much everyone who's been on the court in the second half, even if they haven't scored, have really cemented a really tough brand of team basketball that we like to see. It's really why they're up 13. I think Medley, right, hasn't scored in the second half, but he's still doing all the right things. Done a great job on Osher on the defensive end. You can just keep your eye on him and watch the off-ball defense, and you'll be amazed. And Bobby Stewart, I can never approve of the 2 different colored shoes, but I do approve of the way he's played so far in the second half.
What's he rocking right now? He's going for a drink. I can't see.
It's the black and white shoes every game. I don't understand it.
About halfway down in this second half. Jumbos outscoring the Panthers 23-12 in this first 10 minutes and change. Here's Brennan, a huge block from McCursey. Josh Bernstein sends it right back out, and it's going the other way off a nice play from Medley.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal block by Bernstein, and then just laziness from McCursey combined with hustle from John Medley.
The pick and roll, McCursey gets the dump off, and Bernstein has his back turned, turns around, and just erases the shot completely clean. Met him in the air, and he's been doing that all season, but today, particularly, his 4th block of the game.
One of the best blockers in the NESCAC, almost 2 per game, champion, not able to get that one down. Jamesi off the offensive board. Just a little bit of a miscommunication between him and Bernstein as it sails out of bounds.
Yeah,
that was one clean gather from Bernstein, bringing the house down.
Yeah, 2 missed opportunities, maybe one on the Kai champion layup, who just hasn't really been able to get it going today. And then, yeah, I feel like if he had that one cleanly, he was going up to throw it down. But Middlebury, 13 points. The game is not over. And I guess that's what I said. 9 points was gone in under 6 minutes last year. And I think all it takes is one shot to go down to get some momentum.
Brennan at the top. Over to Osher, who's now at 10 points in this game. Kick out. Flax. Now over to Brennan. Finds a cutting Osher. Layup is good. A good sign for the Panthers to get their star going.
But it's the first time all day they've really used him off ball to set him up for an open look.
And they've been trying to get that all second half. And, you wonder how much effort goes into just running him around to get an open look. And if that tires him out as the game goes on.
Jamesi, a huge jump to try and get in position for a shot, and he goes right through Lamine Cisse. Offensive foul on the Tufts forward.
And so that's what you're looking for, Middlebury. You get a bucket on one end from your best scorer, and now you get a turnover on the other end. Chance to get it within 10.
We'll see if they look for Osher off ball again. You can see him hiding there in that left corner.
And I thought Medley did a really, really good job on him, but Medley's on the bench now, so it's McLaren who's going to be checking on Osher this possession.
Strong defender at 6'6", can guard 1 through 5. We'll see if he's able to get that assignment. Haven't looked for him just yet. Flax gets stripped by Jamesi. Fight for the ball. They'll call it a jump, and I think that's going the Jumbo's way.
And the defense's discipline on pretty much every time Flax has come around the screen and looked to pass immediately has been unbelievable. They've generated probably 2 or 3 turnovers on those looks. That might have been the 3rd, and have consistently shut down his ability to just find that little pocket pass through the lane. They see it coming.
And just completely opposite of how they were playing it in the first half. First half, they were dropping on all those screens.
See Sam Stevens getting ready to check back in for Middlebury. Need a spark, down double digits with just under 9 minutes to go in this second half. Marakis working Osher, kicks to McLaren on the outside. Does not go for the three. Instead, the dribble drive, the pump fake, and the layup is good.
That's the veteran nature of McLaren. He just made every right decision on that play, got into the lane, and that type of bucket is a backbreaker for Middlebury from a guy who doesn't do a lot of scoring.
Here's Brennan, met by Jim Messi. Off the glass, no good. Brennan fights for his control of the board again. Bernstein grabbed it, but dribbled it on the baseline, so it's staying right here.
And if Middlebury is going to come back in this game, which they very much have the opportunity to do, they're going to need more from Brennan. We highlighted that matchup, Brennan versus Jamesi, coming into this game. Brennan is 1 for 7, and he's got 3 points. Jamesi is up to 13.
Marakis tried to get a cheeky steal. Osher, straightaway three, no good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the epitome of how Noah Osher's day has gone. Had an uncontested three that you would expect him to make and just hit back rim.
Just a struggle against the Jumbos over these past 2 years. Deterley inside. Bernstein likes the matchup against Brennan. Loses control of the ball, now kicks back out. 8 to shoot. They go right back to him. Fake, loses control of it, tries to regain possession, and it's another travel. I guess the referees deem that he was in control of the ball, and so that's 2 steps that you're not allowed to take.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Middlebury got bailed out there. They need to, with less than 5 on the shot clock, send help for David Brennan when it's Bernstein backing him down.
I don't know. I thought that was a unbelievable defensive possession from Brennan. He pretty much had Bernstein locked up the whole time. I didn't see Bernstein scoring there regardless, and he traveled on his own. So props to Brennan for stopping what has been mainly unstoppable so far today. It shows you can put a body on Bernstein and just force him away from the basket.
They take Brennan out, likely hoping that he's able to provide important minutes down the stretch as McCursey's checking back in. Bernstein once again with another denial, and the Jumbos will get it right back.
That's his 5th block of the day. Josh Bernstein, just an absolute force of nature on the defensive end.
Jumbos now can work clock up 13 with 7 minutes to go. They're going to take their time here with Deterley at the top of the key. Looks to drive to his left. Over to Jamesi. The floater from 5 feet out is good. Lead back out to 15.
There's just no way to stop that.
Flax calls out a play. Middlebury need a bucket right here, right now. Drives, goes inside to McCursey. Another kick. Osher, corner 3, was heavily guarded by Bernstein on the outside.
There are a lot of things you can do to beat a zone, but trying to dribble through and stacking 4 guys on one side of the court is not one of them.
Marakis now with 15 to shoot. He's guarded by Osher. Pulls up from 3 and it knocks it down. Everything falling for the Jumbos so far. It's their largest lead of 18. And now things looking like they're in the territory of what happened the last time these 2 teams faced off in Cousins earlier in the regular season. 3-pointer from Stevens. Desperately needed, but no good. Bernstein has the board.
And basketball, sometimes, ironically, is all about throwing curveballs, and that's really what the Jumbos have done with this zone in the second half, switching between man, going back to zone to the 3-2, and just causing fits for the Middlebury offense, and this lead continues to grow.
Marakis with a lob to Bernstein, loses control of it. Jamesi fights for control. In and out on the floater.
That ball went directly off of Stevens' face. Oh,
Flax tries to stop, slides across the floor for at least a couple of feet.
I don't know how he did not travel there.
Yeah, neither do I, but I don't know how he didn't fall to the ground either. So, you know, the Jumbos will take it, and I think Flax might take it as well.
Deterley looking to try to put this one away, loses control. Here's Flax again in the fast break. Only Jamesi able to meet them down court. Stevens draws contact, and that's a foul on the floor, and it'll stay right here.
I mean, for what was a 3-on-1 break at the beginning, you'll take an off-ball, or excuse me, a non-shooting foul if you're the Jumbos on that possession. So going into a timeout, this game is firmly in the hands of the Jumbos. This slide, oh my God, maybe it wasn't a travel, but it was something I've never seen before.
No, that is just absolute flexibility and core strength. Evan Flack should become a dance teacher when he graduates. That's my philosophy on today.
So 18-point lead. Andrew, what are we looking at now?
Well, right now you see in terms of the scoring department, Tufts already matched their total from the first half, and there's still 5 minutes left to go. Middlebury, only half of the points that they were able to have in that first half with 5 minutes left to go. And so that's been the story. Tufts being able to be really effective on the offensive end, and Middlebury right now just can't buy a bucket.
And we talked about physicality coming in, but free throws haven't really played a big role in this game. It's really just been about shot making and on that end, defense. And the second half, I mean, Middlebury's 5 for 21. They only have 1 3-pointer. We came into this game thinking Middlebury probably had the advantage from behind the arc. But some of Tufts' guys have just gotten hot. DeTurley has always been a good shooter. He got hot. And when you have other guys just hit one every now and then, Maracus hit one first half, Jamesi hit one, and it adds up. They've got 5 3-pointers in the second half, and, you know, that's the 16-point difference on the box score.
That's without Kai Champion having scored a point today, which is an astounding stat with 5 minutes to go.
It's been their second leading scorer all season long off the bench. They're looking for some other contributors off the bench today. You saw John Medley have a really exceptional first half. Of course, some good minutes out of Bobby Stewart as well, although he hasn't really gotten on the board very much either. But the starters really come into play today here for Tufts.
Yeah, I think at times this year we've questioned Brendan Linton's reluctance to change anything, his steadfast determination to his starters. And here in the biggest game of the year, he proves our questioning wrong with his starters showing up in a big manner.
Off the timeout, spin move from Cisse, no good. Jamesi fighting for the board, he gets knocked down, and it's going to go right back in favor of the Jumbos.
But a better way, I would say, to attack the zone that they just displayed right there. Get the ball into the middle and make a play. And, you know, layup fell just short, but a really aggressive move from Cisse, and I think that's something they've been missing so far in the second half. Maybe a sloppy foul at the end right there, but they got to find a way to crack the zone, and then you wonder if that happens, it's tough to just go straight back to man.
Middlebury need to stop and need to pull a rabbit out of a hat, seemingly, in order to get back into this game with 4.5 minutes left to go.
Jumbo's in absolutely zero hurry. They want to milk as much shot clock as they can.
McLaren drives, 5 to shoot. Kick out to Medley. Going to try a long-range 3 off the back of the iron, and it's picked up by McCursey. Now Middlebury looking to work quick. Picks up his dribble is Bobbitt. Joseph fell to the ground. He's slow to get up.
It's not the first time we've seen someone fall unexpectedly today. I wonder if the floor is especially slippery right now.
Here's Bobbitt. Panthers are eating up a lot of clock. Cisse has to hoist. No good, and Bernstein grabs the board.
And, I mean, the defense we've seen from Tufts in the second half is incredible. 3 minutes in the second half, it was 35-33. Since then, Middlebury has scored 7 points.
Bernstein looking to work a spin move in onto McCursey, and he dribbled it on the baseline once again.
Yeah, I think McCursey has done a very, very good job. Both defenders on Bernstein the past couple minutes have really found a way to limit him. As we said in the first half, part of Bernstein's appeal on the offensive end is you get everything else moving around him and then find him when there's nothing you can do as a defense to stop him. Posting him up one-on-one constantly and having him just try to make a move, he's grown a lot in that department, but it's not something I think the Jumbos need to be going to every time down the floor.
Medley picking up Osher full court right now as he'll let him finally cross the timeline. We'll see how desperate Middlebury are to force some shots off early in the clock. Cisse seemingly in no rush, and it's tipped by Jamesi into the hands of Maracus. Fast break opportunity. Maracus takes it himself, draws the foul, and that might just about do it.
That's the second fast break that Maracus has handled so confidently. He has a way of going up with the ball. If you watch right here, he embraces the contact. He sees the defender, and he goes into him, uses him as a shield. At the minimum, he gets 2 free throws there, finishes with the left hand. That's a strong, strong finish from Maracus.
Completes the 3-point play. James Maracus, only 1 point in that first half, but has come and really shown up here in the second.
You know, and the Jumbos only have 6 free throw attempts in the game, and he has 5 of them.
And another steal. Maracus picking another one up and in no rush to pull off the fast break.
This game has just gotten away from Middlebury over this half, and now the Jumbos are just having fun.
Stewart with the layup. No good. Now Middlebury on the fast break. Joseph with the left hand still can't convert. A lid on the rim seemingly for the Panthers.
Yeah, that is pretty much emblematic of everything we've seen offensively from Middlebury this second half. No matter from where or how, it's just not falling.
Osher gonna pull up from long range, draws contact, will shoot 3.
I mean, that's a bold shot. They're down 20. I understand it. Pulling up from 3, contested. I didn't really see a foul right there, but you know that you might get the benefit of the doubt in a game like this. Osher, you can kind of see it in his face. It's just been a tough game. The Jumbos have guarded him really well. Guy used to getting his points, and he's only at 12, which for some would be great, but 3 for 11 from the floor, not what he's looking for today. And misses the first free throw. It's just been a tough half for Middlebury.
Second one is good.
Seen Dean Smith enter the game here for Middlebury. Stepping off the court is Tristan Joseph, the sophomore, as well as Lamine Cisse, the senior. Of course, with Middlebury under 500, unfortunately, a shot at the NCAA tournament does not seem super likely, especially with a loss here in the quarterfinals. And for some of these seniors, this might be one of the last times they step on a court. So Cisse getting some love from his teammates as he heads towards the bench with 2.5 minutes left to play in this second half. Marakis knocks down another 3.
And when it rains, it pours. And I think more than anything, just so good to see a player like Marakis find a rhythm, because if the Jumbos are going to make a run in this NESCAC tournament and in this NCAA tournament, a 6'4" point guard who can knock down the 3, get physical in the paint, and do pretty much anything he wants on both ends of the court is just, as he gets another steal, an unbelievable thing to have for our team.
And a timeout call by Linton right there.
Just, you couldn't be happier at seeing these guys get into rhythm today, because that could pay extra dividends down the stretch.
See that last 3, just the confidence of James Marakis to ice this one. 14 second half points after a very quiet first. We saw him do very well against Middlebury last time around, as Noah Osher, obviously emotional, as he's been such a big player for Middlebury throughout his entire career.
Osher, the captain of this Middlebury team, a senior, a guy who has just been their man for several years now. You know, it is tough to go out like this. He's had such a wonderful career. Osher, Lamine Cisse, and Charlie Moore, the 3 seniors on this Middlebury roster, they came and they played hard today. They showed why this Middlebury team has been a hard team to beat throughout the season. And, you know, they can go out with their heads held high. They fought.
Absolutely.
Here's Bobbitt as Brandon Lynn has emptied the bench a little bit. A block up front by Zion Watt.
Oh, I don't know if he stepped out of bounds there.
I mean, you look at a player like Zion Watts, who doesn't really even get rotation minutes, but a play like that, it's just so obvious that this Jumbo team has depth, and it has guys who hopefully will be impact players for years to come.
A lot of youth on the floor right now for Tufts. You have the freshmen Kennelly and Watt, and then sophomores Wooten and Theo Liu. The Jumbos looking to make back-to-back NESCAC semifinals. They had their journey end there last year. And, of course, bigger aspirations than just that. Made it as far as the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament last year, and we'll look to recreate that once again. 3 ball from Bobbitt is short.
He thought that was him.
And Kennelly to bring it back up.
We'll see if Linton lets them shoot it or just has them dribble out the shot clock here.
Saw Micro Berluti on the scorer's table. Doesn't look like he's going to get some action, but fortunately for him, he'll have more time hopefully later on in the year.
He went to the scorer's table. He just went back to the bench.
Crowd unhappy about that.
These teams came in even in NESCAC play as a foul is called right there by Theo Liu. They were 5-5 going in, a 2-point game at the half, but the Jumbos bringing out some of the stuff we saw in their early non-conference play run. A 20-point lead in this second half as we're looking to wrap things up here in Cousins.
Yeah, as we wrap things up, we take a look around the NESCAC to figure out what's going to happen next weekend here. And some results from around the NESCAC. Right now, Williams up by 11, 4 minutes to go there. So if that holds, the semifinals and final of the NESCAC tournament would be in Williamstown. Trinity Wesleyan is a 2-point game with 3 minutes to go. So we will not be able to tell you who the Jumbos will be playing, but we will tell you they will be playing on to next weekend.
The dance continues on as final from Cousins is 66 Jumbos, Middlebury Panthers 46. Tufts with a brilliantly played second half, specifically outscoring the Panthers 36-17. A lot of contributors here for Tufts, 4 in double figures. We had Medley with 11, DeTurley with 11, and with 15 apiece, James Marakis and Scott Jamesi, all going to be important pieces for the Jumbos if they want to continue their season.
Everything clicked in the second half for the Jumbos. Everything fell apart for Middlebury. And, you couldn't be happier if you're a member of this Jumbos team. And I think from watching this game, they truly do have a shot to make a run at the title. Just an unbelievably impressive showing in the second half from so many different guys. The number of ways they can attack you, I think, is obvious. And for Middlebury, a disappointing season comes to an end. Noah Osher and some of their seniors not going to have another chance to go for a NESCAC title, but they played so tough. The first half was really one of the best halves of basketball we saw all season. And while their season ends, the Jumbo season will continue, and hopefully they will play for a NESCAC title.
In terms of us, we know we will not be back on the mic at JumboCast until March 1st at the earliest, so we wish you all a great end of February. We will let you know in about 10 days whether or not we'll be hosting NCAA's Live from Cousins. We do know that starting March 2nd, we will be back out on Bellow Field for the start of lacrosse season with 2 top 5 ranked teams. So as always, you can watch us there, and I'll turn it over to Andrew Howe to sign us out here.
Yeah, thank you very much to everybody who tuned in. Make sure you stay on the broadcast after we head to break, as we'll have an interview, hopefully with John Medley of the Tufts Jumbos. But Riley, Jared, thank you. A pleasure, as always, to share the microphone with all of you. And we're going to head right to a break. We'll be right back with an interview here on JumboCast.
And welcome back to JumboCast, as we are now joined by John Medley, freshman guard, who had a great game tonight. We're going to just walk through. First off, you had an excellent game tonight. You had several important blocks, some big threes. What was the mentality coming in this game? How were you approaching this important game, especially as a freshman coming in to a NESCAC playoff game?
First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior above. He helps me and my teammates just come out here every weekend and just play as hard as we can. And this weekend, just coming into it, we were just taking it as a one game at a time mentality, not thinking about next weekend or what could be in the future, but just to get this one game. We know we played Middlebury earlier on in the season, but we knew it was going to be more competitive. So I'll go with just to outplay them, outwork them, out-hustle them, and that's what we did.
Yes, and it was really well played, especially in that second half. You really were able to pull away and take control of this game. And looking forward now, next week you have the semifinals and the finals, which hopefully we'll be seeing you in both those games. How does this game affect momentum as you head into the final weekend of NESCAC play and then into hopefully the NCAA tournament as well?
I mean, it's huge. Just, again, a NESCAC playoff win. I mean, everybody wants to get that. We had home court advantage, had the crowd. It was pumping. I mean, this is obviously going to carry into next weekend, whether we play here or play on the road, and we're just going to continue to get better each week as we have been throughout the season.
All right, perfect. Thank you, John Medley. Excellent game tonight. We're going to look forward to watching you next weekend, wherever that may be. Big thank you to the rest of the crew tonight. It was a great broadcast, and with that, stay home safely.
Thank you.